Welcome to Adeptus On-Air, the show where we examine how individuals and companies make decisions that drive their business and personal success. Each week, we connect with notable professionals who pull back the curtain on the industries that Adeptus has been on the cutting edge of for the last 30 years, including music, sports, and entertainment, as well as new emerging markets.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of Adeptus On-Air. I am your host, Mike Hoffman, joined today by my co-host, Ashley Greene, and have two very special guests today, Kim Walsh Phillips and Justin Guarini. Hello, everybody.
Hello. Thanks for having us.
I appreciate you guys coming on and joining Ashley and I today. Just to give a little bio to everybody on you guys. Justin and Kim, founders of Elite Speakers Network, empower entrepreneurs to turn every stage into a revenue-generating machine. With Justin's expertise in captivating audiences from American Idol to Broadway and Kim's billion-dollar marketing strategies for celebrity clients like Kevin O'Leary, they provide a proven blueprint to command attention and drive impact. Together, they equip business owners to grow their brand, attract clients, and build a legacy through the power of the stage. Did I get that right?
Yes.
All right. Excellent. Excellent. So, tell us about how you guys first got to come together.
Absolutely. So, my business was doing great going into the pandemic. It was my second company. I exited from the first, and we had built our company, second business, around doing in-person live events and bringing people into our coaching business. And then the pandemic happened. So that I needed to make a quick shift and went into the world of virtual events and got on an audio app called Clubhouse to utilize it as a lead generation tool. And while I was on there, I ended up speaking on a virtual stage with Justin, and he and I connected. We ended up doing a few different stages there. And eventually I invited him to be an in-person MC at one of our events. So we were at the studio in South Carolina, and most MCs, when you're not on stage, are like goofing off or, whatever. They're doing their thing.
Yeah.
But I noticed that Justin was in the green room with the workbook for the event, and he's doing all the exercises, and he's working studiously. And I said, what are you doing? And he said, oh, I'm building a coaching business. I said, you are? He's like, I'm like, I can help you with that. That's what we do. And I became his coach. As we started working together, I started bringing him in to coach our members.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was amazing because he took all of his coaching and mentorship experience, and really there's no other speaker coach in the world who's been on stage for over 22 years in front of millions of people.
Yeah.
And that combined with my marketing messaging to start working with our people. And I'll let Justin take over the story from there.
Yeah, it was a real awesome experience because, again, it was perfectly aligned because I'm a bodies in the room person. That is my thing, whether it's Broadway or there's bodies, and we couldn't have that during the pandemic. And
Sure.
So when I moved into that virtual space, Kim was absolutely invaluable as a coach and a mentor in terms of putting together all of that knowledge that I've had gained over the past 22 years. So then we started working together with her clients, and I just loved how so many of the lessons that I learned really are so applicable to people speaking on stage or speaking on a podcast or delivering a message, a product, or a service. It's all a performance as far as I'm concerned. And yet what's super interesting is that Kim invited me to go on a show on Bravo, Below Deck Sailing. And we ended up going on this great show on Bravo, and we started working with the cast on some of their performance, some of their storytelling, some of their what kind of things do they want to do in the future. And
most guests go on and just drink martinis.
Yeah,
but Justin and I are the kind of people we start working with all the crew.
Wait, Justin, are you saying that reality TV is scripted?
Yeah, I know it's a crazy thing, but FYI, it's just slightly scripted, and yet it was something where one of the producers came over to us and said, "Hey, do you guys do this?" And we're like, "Well, yeah, but we kind of separately do this and help each other out." And the producer's like, I think you guys are onto something.
Mhm.
And they were right, because we ended up actually getting the captain of the boat, Glenn Shepard, as our client.
Our
And so,
first official joint client ever
yeah, I
was
know.
on the #1 show of all, Bravo, which does not suck.
No, it did not suck. And
From a
so,
marketing perspective, that's like your dream.
Yeah.
yeah, it really was.
Yeah.
And so since then, we have been guiding entrepreneurs and speakers and business owners down the path of really expanding their businesses via the power of getting on stage and speaking, and not just sharing a message, but really delivering a message that makes people feel like saying yes, feel like they know, like, and trust them, and just taking their message to the next level.
It's crazy because, like, up to that point, I had been asked so many times to coach people on speaking. So I've always used speaking to grow my business. I'm like, no, I don't do that.
Yeah.
And Justin has always been a performer on that end of things, like doing a performance and like, can you help me with this? Like, no, I don't do that. And it's amazing because when he would get off the stage, his ROI would end. Basically, he would get paid for a performance, right? And so there was that end of things. There was no offstage revenue. When I would go to grow my business, I had to pay to get leads. I'm paying Facebook, I'm paying Instagram, I'm paying LinkedIn. And here we were like, duh, like the most profitable way to grow an ROI based business is actually to get paid to be a speaker. So you're getting paid to go in front of an audience. You're getting set up as the authority for that audience, and you're in front of a group of people who already show they're willing to dedicate time, money, and energy to solving a problem. So you're in front of a right fit audience. Like, let's just use that. So we start using that to grow our business. We generated one speaking event in January. We got paid $15,000 to speak. We generated $165,000 in 1 hour in revenue. And then since then, because we're getting paid to generate clients, we've brought in $1.2 million in revenue from that group of clients. And it's like, this is the model that you can go against the grain of everyone else who pays to get leads to actually get paid to speak and generate qualified clients.
It's a crazy combination. I mean, they're paying you to help you promote your business, which is uncanny. So it's brilliant that you've able to kind of you flip the script basically.
Exactly. And it's for what we found is the people in our community. It's not for everyone. Like speaking on stage to grow your business is not for everyone.
Sure.
What we found is it's the people in our community that are in our coaching were in some kind of performance arts before. They were like in the school play. They were on a radio show. They were in the band. They were in dance. They did some kind of performance. Which one did you have?
All right. Don't get too excited. Don't be all fan-guying me or whatever. I was the drum major of the high school marching band. So,
well, yeah.
I mean,
I was going to watch my face through the podcast, but I totally goofed.
I'm just saying. So you want to call me band nerd, whatever you want to call me, not only band nerd, the leader.
Do you know how many drum majors we have and cheerleader, like people who know they have this?
Corrected.
Yeah, well, but Ashley, what's yours?
It's not. No, I've never been comfortable on stage or anything. So that was a question I was going to ask you. What advice do you have for somebody?
You did something. Did you do speech, debate, podcasting, DJing, family parties?
No, gymnastics, no. I played tennis. I was always into sports, but no, I was always the person sitting in the back of the class that didn't want to talk.
I will tell you, playing tennis, there is still an entire audience looking at you when you play. That's not cross country running. There's a difference.
For sure, there's a difference. But it's interesting to be comfortable in certain aspects, so I can use my physical skills, which I'm confident in, but not necessarily, my verbal skills, my speaking skills, delivering my message, those types of things. So what advice do you give people like me who are not necessarily, open to being on stage, but you think maybe they should or have potential?
Well, I would first of all, you said something very interesting, and I want to ask you another question just to follow up on that. Like you say, you're comfortable using your physical skills, right? So what do you mean by that?
Oh, I guess I would say that, when she was referencing that there's an audience when, I play sports, it's like I'm confident in my abilities in that arena because that's something that I've cultivated over a period of time. So but you're not necessarily speaking to the audience, right? And you're in a certain frame of mind, right? And it's a very focused frame of mind. So you're able to, sort of forget that there's an audience, which I imagine your next point is going to be that's a skill that you teach, is to stay in that focused frame of mind to deliver your message.
Yeah, there you go. You saw it. I love asking follow-up questions because one of the things that we find, and I think this is kind of a universal truth, whether that's things with your body or and I mean the universal your body, relationships, spirituality. I think it's like we all kind of know what we need to do. We all kind of have like the answers in there, but sometimes it takes a coach, just like it would be for tennis, for you to be like, oh, you know what, hold the racket just a little bit differently this way, and it will be much easier for you to deliver your forehand. If you just don't throw the ball as high when you're going to serve, you're not sitting there waiting for it, and there's more likelihood that you're going to have a higher first serve percentage. All those little adjustments. So that question, again, just brought you to the answer, which is what we love to do, is to show people how to consistently, just like an athlete would, consistently get into that frame of mind, but both physically and emotionally and vocally are my three favorites that I focus on, to be able to deliver that message. And then, just like using tennis as the example, right, there are basic foundational elements to play. Right? You learn the rules, you learn how to hold the racket, you learn what type of motions are going to create topspin or backspin or all the other kinds of techniques. And so what I love watching Kim do is take someone who is, let's use the tennis example, who's like a good tennis player, who's been a really good tennis player, but adding in those tweaks, those things that they didn't think about, those slight adjustments or sometimes wholesale adjustments that, like, boom, make the game all come together, all aspects of the game come together. So that's what it really is. So at the end of the day, it is a learnable skill, just like tennis, just like riding a bike, just like anything else. Getting on a stage and delivering a message confidently, concisely, clearly, in a way that makes people say yes to your product, your service, or your message is a learnable skill that we love to
and I think one of the things, Justin, I imagine is a big part of it, and I think Ashley kind of alluded to it before, is either it's confidence. And I think the ability to get up there and either exude confidence or act like you have confidence. Because, let's face it, I've seen Ashley speak in front of people before, and she does a much better job, I think, than she's probably giving herself credit for.
Oh, well, never watched a replay, so.
Right.
Well, okay. I have a few mindset hacks I want to give to everybody listening, right?
Sure.
You just downplayed your own performance, which I'll say that would be the place to start, because we don't want to give people reasons to doubt us by telling them reasons to doubt us. That's one of the first places where we can start. We can disbelieve on our ability. That's totally fine. That's super normal. And I'm going to give you a stepped process to start to believe more. But many people, when they take the microphone, they'll say, this is just going to be quick, or I'm not sure how good this is going to be, or I didn't really prep for this, and they say that so that they will lower the bar for themselves, so people don't expect much for them. But what you're actually doing is giving people seeds of doubt so that they will start to not believe you. So you never want to do that. And that's a great place to start, because you could disbelieve how you think and feel and not be confident in it, but don't feed that to others as well.
Right.
And then the next piece is there is absolutely going to be uncertainty about something that we haven't done multiple times.
Yeah.
If we think about when we first learned how to drive a car, we were learning all the different things about the car driving experience. And our first multiple times doing it, you're nervous because you haven't done it before. And it feels really big. And it literally is a life-threatening thing that you're doing in that moment. And so, like, people are like, I could never speak on stage. I'm like, well, could you drive a car? Yes. Were you nervous about that? Because you literally could kill someone every time you get into the vehicle. But is that the number one thing you think about now when you drive a car? No, it's second nature. You could do almost 12 billion things while you're driving it unsafely, but you could.
Yeah.
And so,
and most people do.
Yeah, and how do you get to that same place from
Yeah.
speaking?
Yeah.
It's not just practice. I will tell you that. People are like, well, you just practice. No, you don't just practice. You have the certainty of a really good speech that
Mhm.
you have tested in front of a small group of people that you worked on with the coach, that it's a right performing, and then you've performed it into a place of mastery, just like a sport, that it came with practicing the
Yep.
same talk over and over again. When you stand there with the knowledge that it's a great talk, knowledge that you have the great performance, and a lot of practice to get it to become almost habit memory,
Mhm.
then you have a authority when you
Mhm.
take the stage. And I still get nervous
Right.
every time, but I
Mhm.
don't use that nervousness as proof that I shouldn't do it. I
Right.
use that nervousness as a fact. I get nervous when I speak on stage. That's just a fact. It's not a judgment, it's just a fact. And then we do it anyway because that's the next phase that we get into. And that I a lot of motivational speakers will be like, you should believe you can do it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's not believable to people
Yeah.
when
Right.
they don't feel confident. All that you can say in your head is for Ashley, but everybody, if you're really nervous before you take the stage, I want you to think of this phrase. I'm curious to see who I can help with my talk today. That's it.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see who I can help. And if we just focus on that curiosity and serving
Mhm.
other people, then it takes the temperature down because they are going to be judging us. People are saying, don't worry about them judging you. No, they're judging you. They
Yes.
are. So you just
Yeah.
bring the temperature down and the curiosity, and it takes away that anxiety and pressure that it's got to be perfect because it won't be. And instead, you're just getting curious to see what kind of service you can do for the audience.
It's funny. So I was in college. Obviously, you're talking to an accounting firm here. I was an accounting major, but I had a weird combination minor, and my minor was speech communications, which is funny because they say a lot of us don't have personalities and we can't talk. But I actually enjoyed talking in front of people. And one of the biggest lessons I remember getting from one of my professors there was about nervousness. And same thing you said, nervousness is an excuse to get up there. Nervousness is proof that you care about what you're about to do. And that's how I always look about being nervous. I'm nervous because I have something at stake here that I want to do a good job. If I can give two whatevers about how I do, I'm not nervous because I don't care what the result is. But I want to do a good job, and that's what the nerves are from. Not that I'm afraid to do it; it's that I want to produce properly.
Yeah,
Well,
and I see that, and just to jump in, like that, there's another layer behind that too, is that you're also concerned about what people are going to think about you. That's
Absolutely.
perfectly normal, right? That's perfectly normal. And again, when you can do that, feel that way, and just go out there and recognize that, okay, if I'm going out to sell, let's say, from stage, regardless, selling or not selling, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to deliver a message and I'm going to impact 100% of the room,
Yeah.
regardless. I'm going to create an impact in 100% of the room. Now, that's just if you're just going out for a motivational talk. But if you're going out to sell, when you realize that, look, I, as a great salesperson from stage, will sell 30, 50% of the room. 30%, 50%. Dance in the streets, I'm having a great time.
Yeah.
That's like, those are amazing numbers, 30 to 50% of the room, which is what we will do from stage. Yet we are impacting 100% of the room.
it's
There
amazing.
is no losing in that game when you do it that way. So yes, you're nervous. It's perfectly normal. And yet when you can step onto the stage and realize, oh, those nerves, actually, I can utilize that energy. I can, instead of feeling anxiety, I can create anticipation.
Mhm.
And piggybacking on what Kim said, when I have rehearsed my speech, when I know my presentation, when I truly believe that my product, service, or message can help the people who are willing to listen, who are willing to go all in with me, then I have nothing to lose. And yeah, sure, it's great to be nervous. It's fine. It's normal. But when I go out there, I can then leverage that energy for my benefit as opposed to something that's going to hold me back.
I
Yeah.
really like that. I think that's really inspirational and awesome. Anytime that you can alchemize a bad or uncomfortable feeling into something that's good, I think is infinitely helpful for anybody in their journey in life. So that's a very cool takeaway from that. And
And I want just one more thing. I'm sorry to hop in right here because
no, go
that
ahead.
inspired something in me. When you can alchemize that, when you're able to, like Kim just said, feel the feelings and do it anyway, it brings us
Hmm.
right right back around to what sparked this whole part of the conversation, which is confidence. And confidence at the end of the day,
Mm-hmm.
it's just trusting yourself. When you have
100%.
self-confidence, you trust yourself.
Mhm.
Self-confidence, right? So when you can feel those feelings, when you can alchemize those negative feelings and turn them into gold for you, then
Mhm.
you go through that experience and like, oh, just like Kim was saying, I feel nervous before I get on stage, but I go out there and I do it anyway, and I achieve my goal at the end of it. I get through it. No one dies or gets arrested, and I get to do it over and over and over again. And because I do it, I learn to trust myself more and more and more and more and more. And that, at the end of the
Yeah.
day, is one of the foundational elements of
Yeah,
confidence.
that's really cool. And I like too when you said earlier when you mentioned spirituality, because a lot of these things that we're talking about are very, sort of deeply rooted in that concept. It's having confidence in yourself, believing, having a message, looking inwards. Like when you were asking me the questions after, I made a statement, I was able to answer it. It's like intuitively, I know the answer, right? Everything's inside here. And that's where the confidence and, the ability that you learn to, turn your bad feelings into good and deliver your message and being impactful on people and maybe not everybody, but we're all here to, serve that purpose, right? And it's a very cool thing, to give people the confidence to serve their purpose. Truthfully,
Yeah.
awesome.
And it's funny is, obviously we're professionals. We provide services to clients very similar to what you do. And hundreds of clients, and so forth. And, a lot of mine have been with me for 25, 30 years. Ashley's been with her most of her career. They have confidence in us. So to me, it's almost like it's easier to get the confidence from them because we're doing good jobs and we're showing them that they can trust us for whatever aspect they're doing. And I'm sure it's the same way with you guys and your clients, but it's getting us as the professionals to have that same confidence that others have in us for us to have it in ourselves.
Yeah,
So
that. Go ahead.
um, there's a lot to that, and so I went and got certified as a life coach
Mhm.
specifically because the mindset work is so important to the
Yeah,
work we do as coaches.
sure.
And the life coaching certification I got is all based in brain science because there is an amazing way that our brain operates. And so I like to look at what I call it is it's not good or bad. So I'm just going to say one quick switch of a bad thought to a good thought. It's about thought switching. There's no bad or good thoughts.
Mhm.
There's a thought we have and a thought that we want to have. And so we stop placing judgment on ourselves because our thoughts are just thoughts. There's not a moral compass on them. And they are typically our thoughts because of a habit brain that came. So it's why I can pick up my Yeti, take a sip, and not have to think about it because it's a habit brain. If we didn't use habit brain all day long, we would be exhausted by 7 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
So that's all normal. Typically, a thought we have about a thing that we are or who we do is something that came to us for some reason outside of ourselves that was told to us in some way. And one of the first thoughts that we can think is just because I think this doesn't mean it's true. That's a thought switch.
Yeah.
So when we don't, if this other people believe it, if we don't believe that about ourselves, that's okay. We recognize that we don't judge. I say you never should all over yourself. I should think a different way. No, it doesn't feel good. So we don't shit all over ourselves, but we instead start to look at what what do I think about myself in this moment, and
Mhm.
is that always true? Because we sometimes we can't go yes or no.
Mhm.
Why do all these things matter? Because when you're as a speaker, when you're in the center of the stage, and this is why I get very emotional because every single one of us has something that can help an audience. Every single one of us.
Mhm.
And I believe if we're not willing to share information with people other than one on one, and like a lot of people are comfortable sharing stuff one on one,
Yeah.
you're limiting yourself in the impact you can make on the world. You're limiting yourself in the business that you can create. You're limiting yourself about the people you can employ, the wealth you can generate, the impact you can make on the world. It's because we decide that we are more focused on staying comfortable than we are on making an impact.
Mhm.
Right.
Because comfort comes from staying status quo. But if we're going to be in the center of the stage speaking to that audience, we have got to believe what we're saying.
Yeah.
And if you're not there yet, that's okay. It just means you're normal. But that's what you work on first is giving a message that you feel you know is the truth. If you start with a message you know is the truth, that's all you need to build confidence around that. Then it just comes from the performance and the practice.
Right.
But start with your truth that you need to share with more than one person, and behind that will become the confidence to speak to an audience.
It's a great lesson, and it's not only for really what your business is about. It's not really about, going on stage to sell. It's just about being on stage to make a difference, and so forth. Because there are a lot of times you're speaking in front of people not to sell, not to generate revenue, but to help a group, to motivate. I mean, the great leaders in the world have to be great speakers on a stage, and what they're selling is a message, and so forth.
You are always selling on the stage, whether
Right.
or not you're getting them to fill in an order form or sign up with you. And
Yeah.
I believe the greatest service is selling, because I cannot impact somebody's life greatly in a 60-minute keynote talk.
Sure.
They've got to work with me after Justin and I leave the stage. We need to give them away. So I'm going to give a quick tip to people listening. If you are a speaker, we love you. Good job. You're impacting the world. But maybe you speak all the time and you don't make offers from the stage because you get hired to speak and they won't let you make an offer. Here's what you can do.
Yeah.
One of the ways is you make an actual offer from the stage. We say you make an easy yes offer. That's an offer easy for people to buy. You don't make it a huge package. You don't make it a long-term commitment, and you don't price it anything over than $2,000. Okay. That's an easy yes offer from the stage that solves one problem in a short period of time. Number two, you offer a free gift that's so good, people would pay for it if it wasn't free. So
Right.
good that you give them your best stuff up front, and built into that free gift is an opportunity to get into a sales conversation, whether it's a webinar or a sales call, some way you can generate a client. Number three, if you're not allowed to make an offer and you're not allowed to do a lead gen, what you need to tell the people in the audience is where they can find you when you leave the stage. So you'll say something like, questions about this? I'm going to be in the back of the room when I get off the stage. Or if you have questions about this, I'm going to be at the cocktail party tonight. I'll see you there. If you have questions about this, just DM me on Instagram and I'll answer them for you. That is a subtle way to connect with an audience so that your top prospects in the room know easily where to find you. That's how you can generate clients from a talk, even when you can't make any kind of offer from the stage.
Interesting. Yeah, so when you're talking about the free gift, you're not talking about the cubic zirconiums. You're really talking about, back in the day, remember that was always the free gifts. You know what I'm saying? The diamond that's
your
sealed.
best stuff, because you give away your content for free, and you get people to pay for the implementation of that content.
Sure, that's a great idea.
If you are giving garbage up front, why would they ever think that there's value on the back end? They wouldn't. It's like the restaurants in the food court, they're not giving you like bad dishes. They're giving you a sample of the actual dish.
That's right.
If something that costs $7.99 is going to do that in food court, if we're going to be charging thousands of dollars, we better be doing that in our free gift.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense. So how would you like to see this all evolve for you guys over the next 2 to 5 years? I mean, obviously, you guys.
I'm going to sit back and hear Justin's take on it.
And the reason I'm saying that is, and I think it's important because Kim, you came, obviously, Justin, you had your success in a totally different area, which obviously we'll have some fun talk about that in a minute. But Kim, you were very successful kind of in this genre already. You authored many books. You already had a lot of big time clients and so forth like that. So obviously, I think you're probably still doing that, but you shifted here. But you two seem to have an amazing synergy together. And obviously, this partnership looks like it has, at least from the 25 minutes we're talking, long term stability and so forth. So how would you like to see this entire thing evolve over the next 3 to 5? And Justin, apparently it's your turn.
Oh, apparently it is my turn. Well, we have been working together for about 3 years now, and just the evolution that's happened over the past 3 years has been, it's been awesome to see how we started out with an idea in line in Montreal. I think we were in Montreal in customs, coming back from, we were customs coming back from our time filming the show on Bravo. And we said, why don't we try this? Why don't we do this? And we put together an idea and a package, and then we went and we tested it. Our first client being Glenn Shepard from that show. And we're like, oh, okay. Oh, okay, good, this works. And then evolving again and again and again and learning along the way. I mean, we have learned, so as you do when you're creating your own business, when you're developing your own product and something that's proprietary. And, now we find ourselves having gone from taping the clients, having clients in a beautiful sort of suite hotel room around this big table and doing a workshop, and then I take them down to another room and I tape them, to going from that to now being partnered with a beautiful shiny floor studio that has all the cameras and the teleprompters and all that. So that jump and that evolution has been absolutely amazing. But where I'd love to see this go in the next 2 to 5 years, to answer your question more directly, is to continue to serve at the highest level more and more entrepreneurs, more and more business owners, and give them opportunities that they might not have. Because you can have a successful business, but ultimately what our aim is to move people not out of scarcity into comfort, right? Like most beginning entrepreneurs and beginners will do, moving people out of comfort and into legacy, moving people out of comfort and into that next level, because we work with people who have successful businesses. Dreamers, great, love them, awesome, but successful business owners who have clients, who have a product or service or message that works. And then we say, let's take it to the next level. And so over the next 2 to 5 years, not only doing that for entrepreneurs and successful entrepreneurs, business owners, but also Kim and I, if you can't tell, love being on a stage. And so we have spoken quite a bit, and just continuing to get our message, our product, our service on the stage. It's one of the most fun things that we love to do. And it's so much fun because we can deliver our message, but we also are all about implementation. It's one thing to talk about it. It's another thing to actually do it, right? And to take people who are willing and brave enough and confident enough, even if they might not feel it totally, to come up on the stage with us or to coach them in the audience is so much fun, because that is our secret sauce, where we get to take any message, any sort of performance, and figure out, just like a puzzle, how to put it together so it creates the most clear, the most concise, the most compelling picture for all kinds of businesses. And so continuing to continue to do that is it. And I'll let Kim give her 2 to 5.
I want, in 5 years from now, I want, when people say, oh, yeah, that's just Justin Guarini, he's the #1 speaker performance coach in the world, that replaces American Idol, because he becomes so well known for that. And that when they,
he's like, okay.
yeah, I mean, that's my goal, that becomes so well known for the impact he's making in the world as speaker coach. That's the #1 thing that he's known for. And I want for myself that when they say my name, she is who you have to go to in order to write your speech and grow your business through speaking. That is, we have incredibly accomplished past, which are amazing, and I'm so grateful for them. But we have both gone all in on this, and for a purpose of, this is what we were created for, to help other people make an impact on the world from speaking on stage. And I'll tell you, it's amazing because we have 3 levels to our coaching. We have a group program, like a $97 a month program, where we just got off that call, where we coach them on their talk and their persuasion, and we bring them experts. Then we have an elite level where we bring them to the studio, we create their keynote speech. And then we have this top level, VIP level. We have clients paying us $100,000 to do everything for them. Same outcome, all 3 groups. And it's a simple business, only 3 services we offer, and it's been scaling fast. So I don't see us adding anything else, just scaling the heck out of it.
I will tell you this.
Marketing budget? Is that in our marketing budget?
Yeah, we're going to work on that. Let me, as soon as I get off, we have a partner call.
There'll be some follow-up. There'll be some follow-up from us.
I have a feeling I'll be hearing from you guys very soon. On the website, you're going to see me towards the top there, damn it. But I do want to say this, kind of to go along those lines. And, we do get sales solicitations and stuff like that. And the one thing that turns me off is not what I'm saying with you guys is, I'm getting a real sense of genuineness in terms of like your passion, not just for your business to be successful, but for your eagerness to help the people that you're helping. And I think sometimes in the what I'll call the sales world, that second piece is missing, where it comes through the cameras right now that you guys, I really feel, want the people you're dealing with to kind of be successful. You both have alluded to it several times in so many different ways. And that's why I think, that you guys potentially, can go in the direction that you're both talking about, because you genuinely seem to care about what you're doing.
Thank you.
Selfishly, I love people's success because not only does it make them look good, makes us look great. I mean, that's the selfish part of it, right? Like, and ultimately, I just know that the more people we help, the more people those people will help.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's it. That's like the nonsense. It's like, oh my goodness. It doesn't matter what business you're in, was it accounting or speaking on stage. It's like the more you can help those people, the more that they get to pay it forward in whatever way that is. And that's just, I mean, that's legacy as far as I'm concerned.
Wow. No doubt. Can I change gears for a little bit? Have a little fun with you guys. I have interesting questions I want to ask both of you. But if I can start with you, Justin, for a second, going back to the thing we're going to try and wash out of your, Google search. We're going to try and get this.
No, we don't want to wash it out. We don't want to wash it out. I love it.
So
I love it. Go for it.
When I was thinking about it this weekend, I'm not going to ask you the probably normal questions you get. Oh, what's Kelly like? None of that stuff. But when I think back to the last 20 years, and there were like these big events on TV, it was, the Friends finale, it was the Seinfeld finale. And that first season of your show, that was water cooler, not just the finale, but that was really water cooler talk every week. Who's going to go home? How mean was it was all these things that led up to it. When you were going through it, did you realize? I mean, I'm sure you were going through your pressures of performing, and you knew it was 20 million people. But did you realize the magnitude of how it was really impacting, like the social aspect? This was before social media, but this was. Did you really realize
not at first
the importance of it?
Not at first, the magnitude, the impact, all of that, not at first. We all were very young, and the good folks at Fox really protected us and insulated us. And it was that first year a time when kind of we were writing the rules as we went along. And so everybody, it just was this thing that we were all in it together. And I don't think it really hit me the impact until after, when I got to see people and talk to them and interact with them. And that's part of the reason why I love to do what I love to do today, which is get on stages and either sing or speak. Because what I think we don't realize and recognize is that regardless of what business we're in, when it comes to marketing our message, speaking on the stage in this instance, is that we're all in the same business. Regardless of the product or service, we're all in the same business. And I ask people in our coaching community or when we're speaking, what business do you think that is? And they'll say, it's sales, or it's marketing, or it's whatever it is. And they'll name their actual vocation. But at the end of the day, we are all in the feelings business. All in the feelings business. And so why was American Idol the water cooler talk every single week? Why did we care about people going home or not going home? Why was that first season so impactful? Because it was something that made you feel something. You felt something when you heard these kids basically doing the world's largest karaoke show, right? At the end of the day, right? You felt something when somebody went home because you knew their story. And ultimately, at the end of the day, what we love to coach our people on is creating that feeling with their audiences. So I knew that it had that kind of impact when someone came up to me and said, hey, this mom came up to me with tears in her eyes and she said, hey, you know what? My son used to have some pretty significant challenges. He would self-harm. There'd be blah, blah, blah. And yet when you guys came on the TV, it was that one moment where he just sat and we as a family could all sit together.
Yeah.
I never had to worry about what was going to be said on the TV, and it just focused him and it gave him something. And like, what am I doing? I'm just getting up there and singing on the TV, doing something that I love to do.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, when we recognize that our vocation, our calling, when we create the right message for the right market, will make our people that we want to serve feel something, feel like saying yes, feel like going all in with us, feel like taking care of some sort of challenge that they have to take care of. That's the greatest impact. So when you can leverage that right fit market, that right fit message,
Yeah.
and then create a performance, it doesn't matter. Again, I call it a performance because it is a performance to me.
Everything in life's a performance. Everything.
Sure, yeah, all the world's a stage, as Shakespeare said.
Yeah.
So, like at that, when you can create that kind of performance that makes people feel something, then that is how you create these sort of American Idol level, Seinfeld level, Friends level impact.
Does it still blow your mind when they hear something like that magnitude compared to some legendary things?
Sure. Yes. And it's like at the end of the day, when you think 30 to 50 million people watched that, I think it was spiked at 50 million people. I mean, that's just like a number. It just eventually you can think of, I don't know, the Santiago Bernabeu or something like that. The soccer stadium in Spain has like 100,000 people in it. I can visualize that. But once we get beyond that, it just becomes a red light on top of a camera. And at the end of the day, what helps me, whether I'm on a stage speaking to 5 people or 5,000 people, is when I give my speaking of feelings, when I give myself permission to feel what it is that I am trying to convey, whether I'm telling a story, whether I'm very passionate about my product or service, and whether Kim and I are up there and selling. When we give ourselves permission to feel, we give the audience permission to feel that same thing or feel something that they need to feel, and that is an ethical way that you can really anchor your product, your service, your message with the people you want to impact.
Yeah, and you leave proud, whether it's your season of American Idol or your 45-minute presentation. The last question for you, then Kim, I have something for you. Were you proud with From Justin to Kelly?
Yes.
I saw it back in the day. I saw it, so I got to tell you.
There are still cult fan clubs who watch that show regularly to this day, which is amazing.
It's funny because I was on an earlier podcast with a makeup person, and we got totally sidetracked, and we started talking about both of our obsessions with Grease 2. And there's
so random.
Yeah, and it's like, I don't know how we got to it. The next thing we know, we're like literally on this pod. Don't watch that one, believe me. Especially you, Justin. We're singing songs from Grease 2. Like literally.
But again, you say don't watch it, but it brought you so much joy. There are people who bring so much joy.
Did. I meant the listener hearing me sing might not bring you much joy.
Well, that's all right, but it doesn't matter because it's not about me. It's about you. So the point being that I remember being in elementary school and I had sung in choirs. This is fine. But someone wheeled into, I was a latchkey kid, right? Both my parents worked. I would stay at school after instead of just going home and sitting on the couch and watching cartoons. And someone wheeled in the AV cart where the TV was strapped to the thing. They put in the VHS.
Remember those.
You remember those? Oh, good. Wow,
those,
Oh my goodness, the old AV cart. And so they put in this VHS tape, and we're all just sitting there. And all of a sudden, this beautiful music started playing, and 3 of the most impactful words that I've ever seen in my life came up on the screen. And it was just simply West Side Story. And that's it. And that was it for me, because I was like, oh, right? And the fact that I would then get to make my own version of that, regardless of the commercial success of it or not, the fact that I got to say, I want to do that thing. Oh my gosh, it's amazing. And then, so many years later, I got to do that thing at like the highest level you could do it at. Is pretty amazing, and I'm proud of that. And there are people who come up to me to this day and just say, "Hey, I love that. That was fun." Or some people came and said, "We got married because of that." Like those again. It's like you never know. It's just like what I was saying before. You put out something like that, and you're only going to really truly sell X amount of the people who see it, X amount of the people who have the potential to see it. But when those people are impacted and they're touched by it,
Yeah.
that is absolutely pure gold. And
Yeah.
that's what really truly matters to me. Right?
I love that because I feel like I'm thinking about you as a child and you just manifested your future in that moment at the AV cart,
Sure.
whether you realized it
Yeah.
or not.
Yeah, it's powerful.
It is very powerful, and you must have had so much joy to make that happen, joy and authenticity,
Yeah.
which are like the two things that really get you through life and help you reach abundance. And, abundance is available for all as long as you're authentic and joyful and believe, so
So
that's
it's
awesome. I love the AV card story. That's great.
So you mentioned West Side Story, but I'm a Jewish kid from Jersey, and one of my favorite shows growing up was Joseph. So looking at your bio, and I saw you on Joseph. Of course, now all weekend those songs have been like totally stuck in my head because you have the flashbacks. You have the flashbacks to that. So yeah, I remember singing at the Paper Mill Playhouse with Debbie Gibson.
Yeah.
He was the narrator and so forth like that. I've seen it with Donny Osmond when he played it for a long term.
Of course.
So yeah, so I could totally see you do it. I didn't know that at the time. I could totally see you in that role.
Right, but those things stick with you because they made you feel something.
That's right.
And great art, just like a great sales conversation, just like a great presentation, ultimately makes you question the things that you believe, makes you think more deeply about the things that you want, and can sometimes spur a wonderful decision or series.
And I played one of the brothers in that show in high school.
Oh,
so you know.
really?
Yes, I did.
The reason I liked it, I think, real good is I actually felt like I learned something in Hebrew school because I actually was able to recall part of the story, and no one listens to anything in Hebrew school. So the fact that when I'm watching the show, like, oh yeah, I know how this ends.
I mean,
yeah,
too.
Yeah,
and aside personal, I lived in Oceanport for a long time in Jersey.
My office is in Ocean.
Huh?
I live 5 minutes, 5 minutes from Oceanport, and I'm in Marlboro.
Oh,
so,
very cool.
Yeah,
small world.
Small world. So here's my question, Kim: is Mr. Wonderful really wonderful?
He is incredible.
Yeah.
I met him first because a group of entrepreneurs, we hired him to be a speaker for the day, not to have him speak on the stage, but just because we wanted to ask him questions.
Yeah.
And I was in the middle of selling my business at the time, but I couldn't tell anybody.
Yeah.
And I asked him for a piece of advice that people wouldn't think of to when they're selling their company that he gives all of his founders. And you'll like this as an accountant. He said, if making any money after the sale is part of your deal, then you want to put into the sales agreement that you need a certified public accountant to give you the reporting at least once a year, because they will not risk losing their license in order to fake the reporting where you can't trust anything else you get. He gave me that piece of advice while I was sitting in this room without anyone knowing that I was going to sell my company, which made me a lot of money on the back end of my deal.
Yeah.
I shared with him what I did for a living. He hired me on the spot in front of this room of entrepreneurs, which is great because if no one had witnessed it, I would have thought it didn't really happen.
Yeah.
And I got to work with him on not just his marketing. I helped to negotiate a deal with him with the television networks by growing his personal brand online. But I got to work with all of his Shark Tank investments. And I will tell you, every single investor every single company he invested with that I worked with, who had multiple sharks invest in their deal, said he was the absolute kindest, nicest, most impactful person they'd ever worked with, who invested in their business to grow it. So I have nothing but nice things to say. He and I are definitely on the same page, though. We're straight shooters. And we believe in ROI-based things. And so I think we're very similar humans in that way, which is why we got along so well.
It's always nice to see that show because you see a 7-minute clip. It's nice to see that they take it to the next level. I had someone on the podcast a few weeks ago had a deal with Lori. And 3-4 years later, and it was an interesting product. It was the product, and I have a college daughter, so you appreciate it, where it's the thing you cover your cups with to avoid like guys from roofing your drinks. So fantastic product, but she even says now to this day, Lori's still involved and still talks to her, 3-4 years later. So it's nice to see they don't just do it for the TV show or to make some money, but they genuinely, care about the products.
And the sharks that have been on there for, over a decade.
Yeah.
I think if they weren't that way, they wouldn't have made it, because there
Yeah,
would have been such a negative reputation.
Yeah.
That they really are not just doing things on camera that make a difference. They really are doing things behind the scenes. And every person on that show has been incredible to business owners. Some of the guests, I won't tell you which ones, some of the guest sharks, not so much, but the main sharks, 100%.
Well, maybe one day the two of you will be sitting in one of those combo chairs like in The Voice, and you guys will be a guest shark. I can totally see it.
Maybe. I like this idea.
Well, listen, I could talk to you guys for hours. You guys have been great, but why don't you tell our listeners how they can reach out to you guys and the business and so forth if they want to extend the conversation.
If you've ever wanted to grow your business through the power of speaking on stage, want to get paid to speak and grow your business while you do it, Justin and I offer a free workshop. That's a lot of what you're seeing right now and hearing right now, but it's tactics that you can use, like how can you become persuasive? How do you exude authority? How do you build that confidence? And we actually give you exercises you can follow to do that very thing. It's in a free workshop, and we'd love for you to join us. It's at speakandgrowrich.com/podcast. That's speakandgrowrich.com/podcast. Join us on that workshop to uncover how you can do that very thing.
You've said that before. That was perfect.
Perhaps I have.
Not the first time with us. But listen, I just want to thank you, on behalf of Ashley and I and the firm. It was great having you on.
Thank you.
What I like is you weren't just selling your product. You were talking to us about, kind of what can come out of it. And I really appreciate that. And,
I already have more confidence.
Wow.
Thanks, guys.
Awesome. Love
Wait a
that.
minute, I tell you you're great all the time, and that means nothing to you.
Hey, I don't need it. Not external. It has to be internal first.
Oh,
well, external's also good, and I'll ask you, just because she said that, does that mean yours wasn't good? Everybody's wonderful.
You know what? You try and be a good leader. You try and motivate your staff, and clearly it's not working. But thanks a lot, guys, for joining us. Really appreciate it. Wish you guys nothing but continued success with everything.
Yeah, and I can't wait to work with you more. Wink, wink. So.
Well, I'm sure we'll be talking soon.
All right, take care.
And thanks for listening, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Adeptus On-Air. If you like this episode, please subscribe and leave a review. The views and opinions by the podcast speakers and guests are solely their own and do not reflect the opinions of Adeptus. This podcast provides general information only and is not intended to constitute advice.